My friends, this is myself, Antoine and Big Mike Van Wyck, and we have a guest for episode 3 of Pure Muscle Radio. His name is Milos Sarcev.
Very
Welcome,
good.
Milos. Yes. So the first time I really got to know you was after my victory in Vegas, and we had this crazy chest workout that I think I'm still pumped from it.
Yeah.
And it is on the Age Muscle channel if you guys want to watch that. But I was like, wow, I never got pumped that much because before that, I think I started training with Mike for the Olympia. But before that, I was doing more high intensity, Dorian Yates style training. And it got me to a good size. But I think the volume and driving the carbs in the muscle like that is the pumps are just crazy. And it's good also to have a low risk of injury. And now with Mike, what he's been doing with me is that he's changing my movement. You know, like you say, when you do chest, you exaggerate and stuff. Well, he's always correcting my movements like that. So I think Mike is got influenced by you a lot. So
yeah,
Mike,
it's like when I first started helping Antoine was after he won the Cali Pro, which was in Vegas or whatever you want to call it. But I saw the video, like I had reached out to him and Dorian and I had congratulated them because I've known them for a long time. And I just was really proud of him. I said, you did a really good job. And then it actually clicked for me when I saw him train with you, I was like, this guy might actually be receptive to not just pounding weights all the time and actually like high intensity, like high stress, put a lot of load on the muscle. Like don't worry about weight so much, just get the intensity up. Because I saw him train with you and I saw him respond to that. And I was like, well, we might have a future here. Because I've been a big fan of yours for a very, very, very long time. Since like
Thank you, Mike. First, Antoine, you said my name pretty good, but it's Sarcev. I know that you were correcting me. Your last name is Vaillant.
Vaillant,
right?
yeah. Vaillant, yeah.
Okay, and a lot of people say it differently. But Mike, first, thank you for being a fan. I see that you're absolutely huge, and I've seen some of the video footage of training Antoine the other day. Let's put something in perspective. All of us, when we start training, we don't have that much experience. There is not really scientific books that you can say, okay, it's a straight arrow. It's either that or no, the different way. And like every man, we would like to be big and strong. So when you lift heavier weights that equate in your brain to the more muscle, right? Because that's what we are taught. But then, when you look back now, we are older, obviously, we talk about the age, I'm 57. So I talked to Kevin Leveroni the other day and then to Flex Wheeler or to Ronnie Coleman. Ronnie was notorious for just pounding crazy weights. Even ask him right now, would you change anything? Hell no. He would still go, as heavy, maybe heavier. I said, but Ronnie, it's 14, 15 serious surgeries, right? Numerous injuries. Your body is not really designed to be pounded like this day in, day out for years, okay? And our mentality, right? If you want to be max, all out, let's go for it. Something has got to go. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah.
When you hear Dorian's explanations now, even he would probably lighten up a little bit and change and mix it. So I'm not against heavy weights. Obviously, it feels good, right? And sometimes you can just go for it. But I think that in training, you should get to the level when you're prepared for it, which means you don't just, normally people start with a heavy duty, progressive overload, a little bit heavier, more. But I'm actually on the side that, you should be careful. First do those slow concentric, slow eccentrics, like feel the muscle, bring the butt. And then when you feel, okay, now I'm fully loaded, then maybe you can go for this all out, kind of heavy duties.
Yeah, it seems like it's like a lot of people when they make comments on on videos or where they might make comments to people in person, like, oh, you need to go heavy. It's like, what is like relative to what? Like,
relative to what?
It's like, I don't know what you mean by that. Like, is 4 plates not heavy to you? Like, just because he's a big guy and obviously he can do what he does, it doesn't mean that the 4 plates is any lighter. Do you know what I mean? And he's worked his way up to that 4 plate, being able to move it so efficiently. And now it's like, oh, well, that's not heavy enough. Well, like, are you comparing him to Ronnie Coleman or? Because Ronnie worked up to those weights and had to take his time and earn his way to those weights. He didn't just walk in the gym one day and squat 8 plates.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So
Yeah, but for me, actually, is like, since I trained with you, Mike, and even when we were training with you, Milos, I mean, the weights were not that crazy. I think we went up to 275 on the incline with the barbell. That's the most we did that day.
Yeah.
And then we did some incline on this high incline on the Smith, or even like the rack presses with a plate and a half, like over 45 degrees for upper chest. And we didn't press a lot of weight. And with Mike now, with the movements and the corrections he's making me do for each exercise, I can't use super heavy like I was doing if I'm really following the techniques he wants me to do. Like if I'm really like, because when I do back, there's so many things that he tells me to do, and then every rep that I will start shrugging for some reason. That I gotta put the elbows down, because then I realized my whole life I was pressing like that, and I was like rolling like this and pull down like this. I'm exaggerating, but that's what I was doing. So now it's like, if you open up the lat and you keep the shoulder socket down, it's like the weight will go down, because if I go up in weight, my body will want to do that.
Yeah,
So,
you see, you're a natural athlete, so your body works in a unison. So it's not like you're trying to isolate one muscle. For you, is the movement. So how I can move that weight, and then you get this secondary muscles involved. Which again, I had an argument with somebody. Does it always have to be that super isolated? Because let me tell you, through 40 years in the gyms, being all over the world, I was seeing the guy that he cannot do exercise, more catastrophically than he does. But then he looks like a Serge Nubret, right?
yeah.
So for me to go there and say, hey, man, you're not doing this right, and he looks better than me, I mean, it's absurd, so you don't want to exactly say that. So many people, especially athletes, they can use the whole body because, in their brain, this is how they're wired. So it doesn't necessarily have to be 100% isolation. So what if you use some accessories muscle, secondary muscle movers? What if you can put more load on that primary? So I'm not against it. But as you just mentioned, training with Mike, right? He corrects you a little bit more. At this stage, if I am Dorian and Mike, your coach, I would also tell you, Antoine, I know that you had the bicep tear. Like first time when I met you, I don't know if you remember, you posed for me at the expo. That was shortly after your bicep tear, and yeah, I didn't even notice it. But one thing that can stop you right now would be injuries. So, would you want to risk that? There are, many ways to skin the cat, right? So there's many ways to approach the training. And I like what you guys are doing. You're doing, those drop sets, like perfect angles and stuff like that. So you reach the failure, multiply, so you drive the blood, you have this HD supplements, the Dorian's whole theory. You saturate the blood, with everything that you want to deliver to the muscle. Then you train this specifically with, high volume, high reps, sarcoplasmic myofibrosis hypertrophy stimulus. And then you insert everything in the muscle. I think that's longevity. I think that this prevents the injuries, and it's going to give you, maximal growth. I'm convinced.
That was like the number one thing I pulled away from, like when I had done insulin and I had tinkered with different things growing, like as I got into bodybuilding and stuff like that. But when I got into like really knowing who you were and like seeing your training, and I came across the giant sets, and I forget even who you were training at the time, but it was just like what you were talking about, like literally what you just said in the last 2 minutes of your talk there. Like, it's like, that's exactly what I think bodybuilding is. Like, that's why I get very frustrated. And I've talked about it with Antoine and on this podcast. It's like this progressive overload and this like, we're kind of getting into like this powerlifting mode where it's like, oh, we want to be strong, and strong equals size, and strong equals me being better. It's like, yeah, that's a tool. Like you said, like you wouldn't want to do that all the time. You can pepper it in here and there. Like, don't get me wrong. You want to push some weight, and it's going to happen. You know what I mean? Like you're in a good range that day. You're feeling good. You want to move a little more weight, but it's like, to just have that be your ultimate goal. I never understood it. And that's why when I heard you talk about this, like flooding the muscle with nutrients, flooding it with blood, like getting in there, driving all these nutrients, getting everything to grow, and then just getting out of the gym. It's like, that made so much more sense to me, because I was out there killing myself. Like, I'm benching 5 plates on the incline, and my shoulder feels like it's tearing out of the socket. And I'm like, I don't really feel this in my chest, but I guess it's cool because I'm doing 5 plates, you know, like, and then I drop down to like 2.5, and I'm like, I'm flexing through reps, and I'm going for depth, and I'm working in different ranges, different hand positions. It's like, holy fuck, like, why would I end up doing this the whole time?
But okay, if I can tell you this, one of my favorites of all time would be Serge Nobret, and I had a chance to be in France, train with him a few times, and discuss the theories. He was a super strong guy, actually, but when he trained, let's talk about chest, he never benched over 225, 100 kilos. He would not go over that. And you remember his chest, it was spectacular. You know, so, and back in the day, he told me, I said, Milos, there's 2 kind of people that would lay down on the bench, and before they grab that barbell, they would only think, I'm going to move, you know, this barbell for so many reps. I'm going to bench press so many times. He says, no. When I lay down there, I don't even know that's a barbell. I don't even know what I'm doing. It's a bench press. I'm stimulating my chest. I'm moving every centimeter. They don't talk inches because it's a friend. I move every centimeter with the muscular contraction from my pecs. So what I want to do, and that's what he told me. Also, it was interesting. He mentioned this weightlifter from Russia, Alexeyev, or, you know, somewhere. I say, who are the strongest athletes? Okay, you know, powerlifters. No, he says weightlifters. Weightlifters on Olympic games. They're lifting, you know, whatever amount. I say, are they hypertrophic? Are they the biggest guys on earth? No. They move the heaviest weights, you know, but they're not necessarily the biggest ones. Yes, throughout this history, when you look, Ronnie Coleman is, of course, freak of the nature, but he's one of those genetic freaks. And I'm sure that you guys know, some guys are just naturally strong. First time they step in a gym, they can like bench over 100 kilos. You know, there's some of those. Kenny Leveroni just told me the other day when we talk about the pec tear, and he says he tore his pec with a 600-pound bench. 600. That's how he tore. And then he says when he was like 19 or whatever, he was already benching for something, you know, crazy amount of weight. And then training all these guys. Like I trained with Dennis James. Dennis James is so powerful in any pushing movement. I could say whatever amount of weight you would put on incline bench press, you know, shoulder presses, he would push it. It's like, Jesus. And then I remember even if he would just like lean on me, you know, like that, where he just put his weight on it, you can feel the power, you know, goddamn. So there are some guys, they are maybe naturally much stronger. So if they can bench 600 pounds like Kevin Leveroni, and going into the gym and doing a 405, right? It would be maybe insufficient stimulus for them because they are so much more powerful. So as Mike, you said, everything is relative. Relative to what? Relative to your strength, relative to stimulus that you want to put. You know, so I'm always, when I was training Antoine, okay, first he was super lean right after the contest. You know, you don't want to risk anything. But what I noticed, even Antoine, the way you were posing, right? Like that most muscular, for example, I could see that you involve the like delts into it, right? Rather than stick the chest and just isolate the chest. So if you remember everything I was telling you at that time, what do we want in any muscle contraction? You want a maximal lengthening of particular muscle that you want, this time pec. You want to lengthen, and then you want to maximally shorten, because that muscle contraction, there's this much squeeze, this much, and then there's this crazy squeeze, right? So this is what I was thinking. And just to mention another guy that there is like icon in the sport, Dorian. I had a really utmost pleasure to train with him in his gym in Birmingham, and then my gym in the Colosseum gym, and then in Venice Gold. And he was, as you know, that really truly powerful guy, but his execution was like Ben Pakulski when he does that execution mastery. Everything has to be just perfect. That was Dorian, but with a heavy weight.
Yeah.
And I will tell you this also, that was like 1993, 94 and stuff like that. So you hear that he's training that way. But, you know, all of us, you know, can believe it or be a little skeptics. I said, no, there's nobody can really train like this. You go warm up 1 or 2 sets and then all out. You know, for me, that was like unthinkable because especially I'm a high volume guy. I like to prepare my muscle before I'm going to blast it. Mm-hmm. But when I trained with Dorian, oh my God, he was true to that. I mean, you know, 1 set warm up and then all out with the 4 straps. And I was like, just, oh my God, you know, terrified. I mean, seriously, it is just like you're going in front to be executed. Like, yeah. Okay, this is it. So say your prayers.
Yeah, what's the craziest weight you've seen Dorian do? Because you train with him, you just said, right? So what's the craziest workout or exercise you've seen him do?
I mean, look, of course, I train, you know, every muscle group, you know, with him, every muscle group. So I was blessed to do this. Of course, I still think that he has the best back in the history of sport, you know, because even now when they're comparing, I mean, I love Ronnie and Ronnie was, you know, freak of the nature. But even right now, when you put those pictures, you know, and comparing, there was more density, more width, you know, to Dorian's back. And okay, he didn't train. I trained back with Ronnie, and I talk about that. Ronnie was doing considerably heavier weight. Dorian was doing up to 4 plates of bend over rows, perfectly
strict.
Yes, super strict, Like his back would not even move. Yeah. Oh, while Ronnie is yip, boom, yip. You know, so
it's almost like his rows, because I've watched Dorian train a lot. I grew up like almost idolizing the guy. It's like when he gets in that like angle for the bent over row, it's almost like you see how much those erectors fire.
Yeah.
And like, yeah. And then you see like in the pose, like that erector, it looks like an ass on the bottom of his back. You know what I mean? It looks like he had 2 asses, like literally.
Yeah, I know.
It's just like, and it's like you see that, like that ability to just lock in that position and like row 4 plates with like this strict form, like you're like a textbook row of 4 plates.
Yeah.
It's like,
textbook,
it's wild.
Perfect execution videotape, right? You know, let me put it this way, and I'm guilty of that because a lot of people, I'm sure, make fun of me. So here I am nowadays trying to train with the youngsters and, you know, bend over rows. When you look at me, I look like Charles Poliquin would say, like, I'm having a seizure. You know, I just can't handle it. But, you know, Dorian, and this is another thing about Dorian, right? You can see that he's pulling that weight from that muscle. Yeah. There's not body making the movement and contraction. It's that muscle doing the movement in everything. Mm-hmm. Well, I watched him. Everything was so meticulous, like, oh my God. While, okay, you have the guy, and I trained, for example, Sean Ray. And a lot of people don't talk about Sean Ray's training. Sean was, you know, very, very good, super intense. I mean, there was no joke. He goes in, get the job done. But everything he was doing was explosive, right? And he kind of looks like there is a lot of momentum. But then again, he has that, you know, nice physique. Ronnie, all just pure power. But then you would think, okay, if you're a powerful guy, you can last, you don't have endurance. So his slow twitch fibers, so to speak, would not be developed. I just talked about this on his podcast. He did 88 reps with 100 kilos bench press.
2 plates, yeah.
Okay, and you know, and people, you know, try to say, like, listen, you know, I've seen Ronnie in my gym gazillion times, and it just happened. That was like 2003. He was training chest, and then he was like kind of repping, and then somebody just asked him how many. Now in his podcast, he said he did a 72 in a contest back in early 90s, and now they're questioning, oh, but that's more than world record, nobody can do this. So he did 72 in a 96, and if you remember, he started supplementing after 95. So imagine if he can do this basically drug-free, what would be until 2003 when he was 330 pounds. I mean, really, he did this 88 reps. And as I was counting, right back in those times, you don't have a video cameras or your phones, and you're not in a gym to record anything. I mean, I had all these guys come to my gym for years. For 6 years, it was Flex Magazine official gym for the photo shoots. I never videotape anything. Like now, like that would be priceless now if I have it.
Yeah.
But so what I want to say about Ronnie also, he is super strong, but he had that endurance. Sometimes guys have either or. This freak had everything.
Yeah, I think Ronnie's the exception. Like
Yes.
every time, oh, but Ronnie did that. Yeah, but don't even count Ronnie as an excuse. He's just a thing of its own.
It's like you're going for a jog or like a run at the park and you're comparing yourself to like Usain Bolt.
Yeah.
Like, why? How would that even make sense for you to compare yourself to? Like,
and I did hear about Ronnie being national at his first Olympias. And was this just him who did that? Or there was like other guys back then who were kind of clueless about what to do and just crazy genetics?
You see, this is also, if we can talk about openly, in this, when I was coming 87 to Mr. Universe, right? I remember I'm from Yugoslavia. There was very limited information. And I know very well, some doctors were talking about dangers of steroids, how bad they are, And then there was a picture of Arnold, that Arnold, the most famous, pose with the arms extended, and under, it's no steroids, right? So when I was going to, Mr. Universe, I was 1,000,000% convinced he was drug-free. Nobody uses steroids and all that stuff. When I got there, I didn't speak much of the English. And I remember there was a couple of guys and they asked me, okay, what do you take? So I'm, trying in my, poor English to tell like protein, vitamins, amino acids, right? And then they're fuck you. And I didn't know, like, oh shit, I understand this is a bad word, but I don't know, maybe I said something wrong, right? Basically they would not think that I could compete 87, drug free. I mean, for me, when you look at a post, some video, like about a month ago, somebody sent me, I was drug free there. But then when I got into the pros, I remember Paul-Jean Guillaume, for example, he was training in my gym, phenomenal physique, like those jealous naysayers would say, no way on earth that he is drug-free. When you see him train year-round, he's ripped to pieces, fiber upon fiber, everything, eating clean, all the time. He would have a headache and he would refuse to take Advil or, ibuprofen or anything. He's, from that side of the story, everything just natural. Mike Ashley, right? Mike Ashley was always, oh, no, there's no way he's drug-free, no way. And remember, he, beat Sean Ray on this Arnold Classic one year because Sean failed and he didn't. But then they were saying, oh, he just knew how to pass the test. But many times when I was there seeing him, I honestly do believe that he was drug-free for life.
Wait. So
Kai Green was drug-free, I think, until 2006.
True, yeah.
And then when he did it, you could see that change. Right. Going with Ronnie from 1991, I went to Hong Kong, China, and then we were traveling around competing. I had conversations with him many times. I said, come on, Ronnie, you have a 23-inch, arm, and you want to tell me that you're drug-free, you're lifting this, sorry, I got the phone call. So he was saying, Milos, I'm police officer, and I don't use anything until, and I told him on this podcast, 1995, he still competed drug-free. And imagine, he made like 3 Olympias drug-free, which is unheard of. But 96 at the Florida show, we were on the stage. I said, Ronnie, and that was the big difference, 95, 96. I said, Ronnie, if you say you're drug-free, I'm going to push you up the stage. And at that point, he was like, no more. Okay. But
no more.
No more, But there's a lot of guys, okay, they can, I don't know, Antoine, when you started. But, for me, when I look at your physique and the quality and strength, you look to me that, you're one of those that you could go very, very far without anything.
Yeah, and another example is actually Quentin, our friend Quentin here. Yeah. He won his pro card natural, and if you look at his physique when he was, it's like it's just a somewhat smaller version than what he is right now, but he was like complete. And I'm thinking a lot of guys who have great genetics, it is possible, because people will judge online like, yeah, this guy can't be. Yes, there are some guys out there who are just, they have those genetics. It's like Michael Luckett, I think you can tell when he's on and when he's off, but it's like he has the same hard, dense, crazy conditioned muscle, just a little bit smaller. There's some guys who are just lucky like that. Like, so yeah, just depends.
Okay, this is a question I never ask anybody publicly. Okay, who is, out of all famous people that you guys know, in a history of sport, who made the most dramatic on-off changes?
Of sport? Everybody that we know?
Yeah.
But we could guess. Oh, wait a minute.
I'm going to tell you. Okay, this guy is the most famous bodybuilder of all time.
Arnold.
I mean, seriously.
Wow.
I mean, look at those pictures, right? When he gets off, he doesn't even look like a swimmer. I mean, it was like,
yeah, it's true. You look like he was hanging out.
It's also like the drastic changes, like with Levroni, right? When
Levroni, yeah.
It's like all of a sudden he takes the elixir and fucking turns into like.
What about Lee Priest?
Yeah.
Lee Priest. I heard that when Lee Priest would go like contest prep, the stocks of KFC would go down.
For sure. Remember those Muscle Tech advertisement?
When he's got his glasses on and he's holding like the donut in his belly.
Yeah. I mean, he looked like
funny,
typical obese person. Yeah, but Lee is so much fun.
Yeah. So let's get to a little question here. So we were talking about earlier about the training that you like versus the training that you think is wrong. So I know you believe that bodybuilders in the 90s they were better than some of the ones today as far as like conditioning or maybe separation. Do you think training has something to do with that?
Yes. Okay. Listen, and you are the new breed. So you are from this era. So you probably are fed up and pissed off about us discussing about 90s, right? But I've seen even you going into the Olympia, you were publicly posting, bringing 90s conditioning, right? So even you, Antoine Vaillant, champion in the 2020, right? You mentioned that one of your goals was to bring that kind of conditioning, okay? And I said, like, why is this even a subject of conversation? Why people even mention it? I mean, look, just like my last 3 Olympias, 97, 98, 99, and I encourage you to see the whole lineup. There was not a single guy on the stage that was not ripped, dry, perfectly conditioned and everything. So that's as far as conditioning. As far as training, okay, and I'm going to tell you this. Back then, guys were hungrier. Times were more rough. There was not so much money, right? Talk to Ronnie or anybody, myself. We depended on that, right? Like, you're so solely dependent. Okay, this is my job. I'll feed my family, or I'm not going to. So you go to the gym, balls out, work out every time. Nowadays, with all this social media and commodities of 21st century, you go to the gym. There are no more hardcore gyms, with exceptions. Maybe you guys have some hardcore, but anywhere in California, you go and drop the weights, so you can't drop the weight, or like there's 15 people waiting for the equipment and all videotaping. And when you're videotaping, you have to look perfect. You know what I mean? Everything. So, and if you are surrounded with this, how are you going to go there and now, blast it? I remember when Dorian told me he came to California, train, he added a couple of plates on a low pulley cable rows, and a guy kicked him out of the gym. He didn't want that in his gym.
Oh,
right?
you put plates on the stack?
Yeah, on the stack, extra ones, right? It's just like, he is in, all out focus and doing his job. Well, that's not supposed to be in the gym. What the hell? I mean,
do you also think that,
with all the respect, I see some of you guys and you're, 100 times better than me. So when I would, talk, this Milos is so full of shit and disrespectful. Oh, I respect all of you guys, by all means. I'm just historian and analyzer, and I say what I think. So telling you, and now you have a mic training you there, and I'm sure that when you guys now go to the gym, you want to push it to the limit and everything, right? But, you tell me, do you have a feeling that this generation have that same, warrior attitude? I'm going to go there and kill it each and every time.
You know what I think it is? And it comes back to your point of like how things used to be. I think like what we've discussed with like, there's all these different roads people can take now, or they perceive they can take to like gaining muscle, getting bigger. And it's almost like there's like an analysis paralysis where like, it's like, I tried this way and it like, yeah, you tried it for a month and it didn't work. So now I did this way. And then my buddy told me that if I do this, I do this way. And then I'm going to do high intensity. It's like, there's all these people with all these opinions of how things should be done. And there's no filter of like someone who's looking over, or like an overarching voice being like, no, that's fucking stupid. Like, why would you do that? Like someone like in your position who can be like, I've seen what works. I know what works. This stuff is like, yeah. And just stick to this path. You know what I mean? And like these voices aren't available nowadays because everyone's got a voice. Everyone's pushing their training system. Everyone's pushing their style of training. Everyone's doing all this stuff. And when you hearken back to like the older days, like the 90s or wherever it is with these physiques, it's like a lot of guys were kind of doing the same shit and like high volume, like enjoying lifting weights, like enjoying the pump of lifting a weight, not just like, oh, I benched 4 plates today, I'm fucking massive. Like, you know what I mean? Like I want to like feel like my skin's ripping. I want to feel like my muscles tearing out of the body, because that's what bodybuilding is. Like bodybuilding is about that. It's not about like, oh, I went for my 60% of 1 rep max. I don't even know what my 1 rep max is. How the fuck would I ever calculate that? Like,
exactly.
How did you ever discover that? Like,
I know, yeah, exactly. Listen, you nailed it as far as that goes. But I'm just going to mention that the training with Antoine, I was going for that crazy skin ripping, pump, and he felt it. And again, keep in mind, I had to be somewhat conservative because I didn't want to hurt him. He's way too lean and all that stuff, right? But when we talk about this, you go to the gym, to stimulate that muscle. You gotta feel the pump. You gotta feel the response.
The best part about going to the gym.
Yeah.
What else are you going there for?
The fun part.
But seriously, listen, there's so many of those guys, like you said, 60% of this, 30% of that, this and then periodization. You can only do 17 and a half days of this, and then you have to change to this. Like, shut up.
It's like, you ever notice that the people that say that don't look like much? Like, they're not like, you're not going to see a guy Antoine size, or that's like upper echelon in terms of like size and muscularity being like, hey man, this is a real scientific approach. So like, no, I go to the gym and I work out. I pump fucking weights and I like it. And I get, if I lift heavy that day, or I don't lift heavy that day, or I did a little less, or I did one less set, or whatever it is, like, it's like, there's not a lot of, there's thought going into it within the actual working set. Like I'm feeling things. I know where things are, but it's not like, oh, how much was that? 50% of my run rep max? Like, I don't think I'm progressing. You know what I mean? Like,
the answer is who cares?
Yeah, exactly. Who gives a shit?
So I do think like you were saying, like the guys seem distracted by a lot of stuff. And I think the guys in the 90s, I think that was easier for them. It's just that because there was no social media, when they would go to the gym, they were not filming anything. They didn't have any other intention or motives by going to the gym, but to just gain muscle. Now, a lot of guys will bring the camera, let's shoot content today, let's do this, let's do that. And they got to think about the Instagram post and this and that. So back then, there were less distractions. They had distractions, but they were distractions of life. Like my wife is giving me a hard time. The dog keeps shitting on the floor.
The gym was always like your escape. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas now the gyms become people's like I got to be on. Like I'm on set now. Like
Yeah, exactly. It's
I gotta get
so
my
annoying.
legs, I
Yeah.
gotta get my angles right. I gotta make sure I'm lifting good enough, because people won't care if I'm not lifting heavy. They won't watch my videos. It's like,
it is camera rolling, action.
Yeah.
Make up.
So I do believe the guys in 90s, when they went to the gym, they train harder in general. But I've seen videos of Paul Dillette, Chris Corbier, and Flex Wheeler walking on a treadmill in Venice. They were not walking that fast. They were not walking that fast.
You know what?
They don't need to walk that fast.
I
It's
have
burning fat.
If I have I talk about it, and I love Flex. Flex Wheeler is one of my favorites. Obviously, I had the pleasure of also training him for his last contest, right? But cardio in the seminars, I would actually demonstrate in front of people. So imagine a treadmill, right? And then Flex Wheeler, not even holding it. He puts the arms down like this, and then his walk would really be, if you put a camera on a slow motion, they would be faster than that. 1 second.
But when he actually told me what he was eating, I was like, it kind of makes sense. He was so slow, because he would tell me he would eat sometimes like 2 tablespoons of oatmeal. That would be his carbs of the day or something like that. What? He had the craziest 0 carb diet. That's what he told me. So I'm like, yeah, if I had like 0 carb, I'd be like crawling on a treadmill like he did.
Yeah.
So who knows?
Yeah, that's another thing that somebody mentioned the other day. Yeah, Kevin Levroni. We talk about the diets, and he also agrees that you guys maybe don't go as deep as we did back in the day. So we talk about the training. Okay, let's talk about dieting. Let's talk about 70s. I don't know, you guys are maybe not familiar too much with this, but 70s back in the day, Arnold, it was no carbs, like you're training for a contest, you just go like 0 or close to 0 carbs. Then I remember there was this news, because some guy, Antonio Trovato, trained with Arnold back in the day, and he also has the strawberries during his contest preparation.
Strawberries.
And I said, but should you have a strawberries? Oh my God, that's carbs. How many carbs? But
exactly,
and then
strawberries only.
Yeah, this kind of thing. So many people back in the days, no brainers. There was no coaches, but they knew you want to get ripped. You cut the carbs. Like now, ketogenic diets. We all talk about this. This was bodybuilding diets in the 70s and then 80s. I remember when I started competing, the same thing. 6 weeks before a contest, you go pretty much on 0 carbs. That's it. And then, of course, you lose muscle and all that stuff. But that's the blueprint, that you see. That's what people were doing. So it's no brainer. I don't know if you guys see like some of the guys, back in the East, like Russians, the Ukrainians and all that stuff. And they come to their shows and they're ripped dry, like, crazy conditioning. Yeah. Why? Because that's their diet. They go to 0 carbs. There's just maybe some salads, vegetables with their protein. This is how it is. That was the standard. Yeah. Until when I started competing, at this high level, I said like, well, you post contest, you eat carbs, you just get, bigger and fuller. And I wasn't losing condition. So I said, okay, let me experiment. How far can I go? Then you push a little bit more. So my whole bodybuilding professional career, I was always high carb guy, low fat. Always. The off-season pre-contest, I had these journals. So if you keep your body fat levels low and you have all this energy that you want, and let's face it, your life is enjoyment if you can have carbs with your meals, right? Yeah. And life is is a night.
What would you keep fat at in like your off season?
My only fats at that time were hidden fats in my proteins.
Yeah, like
and then I would have essential
beef
fat.
And chicken.
So
and things like that.
Of course I like steak. Of course I like a couple of whole eggs and salmon, and I would add my avocado maybe to my meals. So I would say 60 to 75 grams of fat was there, but I had a religiously between 450 and 550 grams of protein. Yeah. I swear to you guys, every single day for 15 years.
Yeah, there's no way you're not getting
for me was
from that. It's amazing. And there's no way you can miss your fat on that.
Yeah, you can.
You're assimilating that so well because it's coming from that source of beef, right?
That's a lot of protein.
Yeah.
And then I was have to worry about macadamia nut oil and all this fucking nonsense that people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's like all these extra fats we're adding in and all this. It's like just eat meat, man, and eat fish and eat chicken and get it from.
You're gonna get enough
sources.
of it. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. But you see, I don't know, Antoine, how you are right now, and I know you're going into the contest. There was many times I've seen those black and white pictures of you, like phenomenal. You know, but I'm gonna tell you this. I think that people that make big fluctuations from having an off-season very high carbs and then pre-contest very low carbs, and they're switching from, oh, I'm going to be fat adapted and then carb adapted. You know, that this is where your body might respond the way you expected and might not. For me, keep it day in, day out throughout the year, and it's very easy to control. I would just, you know, lower the amount of carbs slightly when I need it. I would include the cardio if I need it. When I was talking to Kevin, he asked me, how much cardio did you do? I honestly, like 97, 98, 99, I hardly did cardio. I didn't need it. I would just train twice a day, and I would, jump a little bit of carbs, and it would happen.
Train twice a day?
I think that's like a difference too. Like you mentioning you train twice a day. A lot of guys back in that area seem to, like even in the earlier eras, used to just be the norm. It's like
that used to be a norm. Okay, that's
like, and why would you need to do cardio? Like,
why
would you ever?
Because now that we touched that subject, and Antoine, you said, oh, twice a day. Oh my God. Yeah, listen. So, try to imagine, go back down in the 80s and beginning of 90s. You got your pro card. Okay, now you have no job, but you have a pro card and ability to make a living. Okay, so what is my job? To be as best as I can be as a bodybuilder. You have 24 hours a day. Ooh, I can train once a day or twice a day, right? I can have a sufficient rest between my two, training sessions. Each training session should be anabolic stimulus, cause for additional growth if I have enough rest and enough nutrition. So am I going to improve better with the one workout or two? For me, there was no question. I was never into this, infrequent, rest, you're going to overtrain. Yeah, overtrain. So when I look back, I did I actually did 550 workouts per year, which was, all these times, right? Yeah. Maybe 2 or 3 times that I had in my journals, I felt, okay, I need to take a day off. Okay, because, I was supposed to take a day off. No, I don't feel like taking a day off. And so I was just keep training. And listen, my workouts back in a day, I was not the strongest guy by no means, and I cannot push some crazy weight. But, as Mike was saying, relatively to my strength, I was going to that all out, 6-8 reps on, certain sets. I never felt overtrained. Now, when you say also distractions that you have in today's world, and then all this coming in, don't overtrain, don't train twice a day. I mean, I have guys that I make a plan, 6 days a week, and I do 2-1, 2-1, 2-1. I said, what do you mean 2-1? Why 9 workouts? Isn't that too much? Can my nervous system handle it? Because, because and I'm going to say this.
It's almost like this, like the bodybuilding community is like, it wants to trend towards like, how lazy can we get? Like, the more you rest, the more you grow. Like, yeah, okay, that's true. Like
that sounds great, huh?
That sounds great, but it's like, at what point are you not doing enough? Like, you should be asking yourself that, right? Like, you're listening to yourself intuitively on your workouts, being like, okay, I just needed a day off today. Like, I just got nothing.
No, but tell me this. Okay, and I don't know too many sports, but tell me, any elite athlete in any particular sport, world champions, world record holders, Olympic medalists, the MMA fighters, how many times a day do they train? Or how many times a week?
Yeah, like taking
MMA fighters train 2-3 times a day.
Yeah, they're doing one skill in the morning, one skill at night, maybe weights in between then. Like it's a constant thing, right? Same with even with boxers and things like that.
That's your profession.
They're there
that's
to
your profession.
Work, right? So, and this is like almost bodybuilding is like, oh no, like just lay around and do your work and then lay around and get fat. Just let your body recover, because it needs so much recovery. Like,
and can you just touch that subject also? I mean, look, I've seen some videos, Antoine. I know that you can eat like 10,000 calories in a meal.
Yeah, membership is a good thing, though.
Yeah, no, it's not a good. For me, that's absolutely not a good thing.
we got to get him
It's a shock
in for another session after one of those 10,000 calorie meals.
Yeah,
He's got to come right to the gym.
Yes, you know, but really nourishing your body with the right nutrients, not with the empty calories. I know there is a lot of those. Oh yeah, I just need this refeed. Yeah, because I know for a fact these burgers and fries going to do more to my body than if I would choose to have like some nice whatever pasta with you know, something. Or some people like, oh, my cheat is my sushi. Like, if you eat sushi, you know, fish and rice, like how bad are you really cheating?
Yeah,
you know,
so
I was always believing into the keep your condition year round. I don't believe in this off season, because as soon as you see this OFF, okay, I'm off the chart. I don't need to, you know, worry about the count calories. I don't need this. I don't need this. Yeah, that's your, you know, excuse to have a freedom of get big. No, get fat. And then when you get fat, guess what? Then you're going to have to do the drastic measures to lose that fat. In process, you might catabolize some hard-earned muscle and all this. For me, that was always nonsense. You know, sorry, I don't know how you guys do it and all this stuff. I don't believe in a off-season for just eating anything. For me, yeah, beautiful post-competition rebound phase period. Oh, okay. Now I can increase your carbs considerably. I can now, you know, feed you. Oh, let me put you in the gym twice a day, because now you're not so tired. You don't need to do some cardio. Let me see what I can do with your body with the twice a day workouts, with the super loaded nutrition, high carbs, high protein, everything needed. Let's see how much you can grow with the clean food. Okay, this is what I was doing. Okay, and I'm a firm believer that if you look at my progress from, you know, 91 to 99, I mean, I competed in that period 72 times, right? So the shows were Ironman in February, Arnold Classic March, and then April, May, there was like Niagara Falls, Night of the Champions, Pittsburgh, you know, Chicago, and then there was Olympia, September usually, and then European tour, you go for October, okay? Back to January again. So it was like no time for resting.
is there a year
I made always the best gains in this period post competition.
is there a year you did all the shows possible?
I did in 3 years, my competitive years. I did all the shows, and I would probably do what
you did all the shows available.
Everything that was available, yes.
For 3 years.
Because listen, I'm a IBB pro bodybuilder.
You're crazy.
I have a license to work, and there is a job to be done. What I'm going to say? Oh, I don't feel like it. Yeah. What? Yeah. I mean, seriously. I mean, I know that now you guys are planning. Listen, back in those times, like Vince Taylor, he competed in all the shows, and it's like, oh God damn! And you remember when you have to qualify for Olympia, but then there is a guy that is going to beat you 100% in every of those shows, showing up every time. Like, God damn, Vince, why can't you just skip one? You know, yeah. But that was his job, and I respected that. Like shit, you know. And listen, so imagine, you know, put yourself in my position. I'm competing in 90s, and I'm entering the show. There's normally prize money is 10,000 first, and then 4, 3, 2, 1. So not much, you know. It's tragic how little we were paid. Yeah. And then in the 90s, you're going there with Flex and Kevin and Sean and Ronnie and Lee and Chris and Paul and Dorian. So even the European Grand Prix Tour, Dorian showed up many times. There's all these guys. But even though I know I'm going to go there and maybe not even place in top 5, it's job to be done. If you're competitive, you want to stand with the best guys in the world. Doesn't matter if they smoke you, doesn't matter. Yeah. But, you know, you represent your country. People are going to see you represent yourself, you make improvements. That's all it matters. And jobs come along with it. You get the photo shoots, you get endorsements, you get appearances. So for me, every competition was an opportunity. If I'm your coach, I would make you do all the shows.
Yeah. So it's almost like guys nowadays, they try to build this like hype that never happens. Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, so-and-so's doing this show. And like, I'm 52 weeks out. It's like, well, there's also 3 shows before that. Like, why aren't you doing those shows? Why aren't you just banging out 3 in a row? Why are you trying to build this hype? It's like a Mayweather fight. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh, he's finally fighting again, or this guy's finally competing again. We can't wait to see it. It's like, yeah, well, if we saw you more often, we'd be even bigger fans. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, Antoine, last year, I mean, you wanted to compete in all the shows. You competed whatever was available, right?
Yeah, well, there was barely anything available because of COVID.
Yeah. But I remember that you were, I guess, planning, and then it was canceled. But then you came to all these other shows.
Yeah, I dieted a whole year. It was, wasn't that fun, to be honest.
And
He had to be a bodybuilder the whole year.
Yeah, but it was a job to be done, right?
yeah, and you qualified for Olympia.
Yeah, exactly. So
Right.
that was cool. So I just want to know, like, because you did travel, because after the Olympia back in the 90s, there was the Grand Prix in Europe, and there was like 3 or 4 shows, I think, in a row that people were doing. And the thing that's kind of cool is that you would travel with the top guys and live in the same hotel week after week. So you probably have some crazy stories. So do you have a story from like the Grand Prix tours that are kind of like that you never told anybody, or that's like kind of outrageous?
I mean, I said all these stories. I'm sure that you guys are sick of me repeating myself, many times. But look, Ronnie Coleman, as you guys know, he started doing Olympia in 91 and in 92. And then all the way to the 97, I competed with him. Ronnie was type that would be into himself, eating his, steak and chicken and potato and rice, not really, go anywhere else, and just stick to the plan. And you can see him actually improving throughout. Lee Priest will be at the other end of the spectrum. It's like, he's dieted, he's, perfect. And then as soon as this first contest is over, okay, now let's go eat. It's an unstoppable machine. I mean, he would just like everything that you can see him eat, it would be wrong. So, okay, if I just hang on long enough, I'm going to end up catching him, which happens like 97. He beat me in like first 3 shows. I could catch up later. And then you can expect that Sonny Schmidt was a dear friend of mine also, Australian Samoan, right? And he could be super concentrated until he has that first, cheat meal. And then if you have a cheat meal, there is, unstoppable. The same thing. I don't know what it is, right? You diet and you can handle. And then first time you sense some beautiful, food, you just go off the chart. So as far as this traveling, I post pictures also about maybe a month ago. One of those tours, European tours, and there was a bunch of guys, and they were all eating pizzas. So they all collectively chose, okay, traveling, let's go have. It's like, guys, and I took pictures of everybody taking pizza. I didn't. I stick with my food, right? Yeah. Because it's, I don't know, until maybe if you would compete with somebody and they are eating pizza, of course, all of us would want to have that slice of pizza or a whole pizza or 2 pizzas, right? But because he's doing it, you kind of feel better because, okay, let's just join the group. So what I've seen in these European tours, there was many guys that was actually weaker minded, and you can catch up with them by the end of the tour.
That's good. Yeah.
But I can tell you this also, what I never said publicly. I am traveling with those monsters, and I would always think that I look like a decent human being, that I don't look like a goddamn criminal or anything, right? In just about every country, they stop me on their customs, not them. So they all have to wait for me, and they just go from A to Z, right?
Well, you would probably like tell him to like, you probably like, because you're let's say you're a passionate guy and you're direct, so you probably like told him something and the customers are like, what's wrong with this guy? Then you're like, what's wrong with you? They push you aside and search for you. Or maybe because you're a good looking guy, the ladies want to get a feel, little feel of the Milos there.
I wouldn't mind it was a custom search, with the ladies. I wouldn't mind that one. No, it's like really, I mean, okay, I'll tell you this one example. In Finland, oh my God. And when you travel 6 consecutive weeks to 6 different countries, you're going to compete. You have to have your stuff with you, no? You have to have your steroids and everything else with you. But Finland is the second country that you have to come in, and from there you go there. And they stop me and I go, I said, like, listen, I'm a professional bodybuilder. I use this. I'm going to go to Europe. No, you can, bring this into the country. You say, what do you mean I can't? I have to use this for a contest on Saturday.
I think
no, you can't.
So, what do you mean I can't?
I was like, okay, let me use it right now. And then I'm coming back here on a Sunday morning. Tell me where I can pick it up, because, from here I'm going to, Spain. And then you can't do this. I refused. I didn't want to leave. So I called this KP Warama promoter. I refuse. I would not, want to do that. And they let me. Imagine, even Finland, so strict. Just you fight for, hey, listen, this is my job. I need it. But so many times, if we come back to the States and Ronnie, shirtless.
Oh my God.
Arm looks like leg, and he doesn't have such a friendly face back in the day, right? And all this stuff. And they're all passing, JJ Marsh, Nimrod King, right? I think that if I would be customs, I look this behemoths like so big and they don't look so friendly, I would stop them. There was 6, 7 times, everybody passed except me, and I'm there for a search.
Yeah, that's funny. So I want to just talk about this because you said you're a very pro 90s, right? So let's compare the 1993 Mr. Olympia versus the 2013 Mr. Olympia. So do you think the caliber of back then was higher, or you think the caliber of that Olympia was higher? I'm gonna pull out the scoring card right here, so you get an idea, because I was thinking about that, because I think personally, thinking about it, most of the guys nowadays in the top are more conditioned. I think overall, maybe the guys in the 90s were more conditioned, but the top guys, I think, are more conditioned. So
okay, 2013, 1993 was Dorian, Flex, and Sean, top 3.
Yes. So let me just find it real quick. I'm going to find it.
No, Dorian, Flex, and Sean. Yeah, top 3. I remember. I'm going to be honest with you.
So, okay. So there it is. So first place, 1993, Dorian Yates. Peeled. Flex Wheeler, that year he was. Sean Ray, he was conditioned a little bit. And then you go Labrada, Lavroni, Paul Dillette, 6. Charles Claremont, 7th. 8th, your buddy, Sonny Schmidt. 9, Andreas Munzer, he was conditioned. And then 10, Lou Ferrigno. So let's go to the 2013. So in that first lineup, only Dorian Yates was a Mr. Olympia, right? So let's look to 2013. First place, Phil Heath, ripped. Second place, Kai Green, ripped. Third place, Dennis Wolf. And then 4th, Sean Roden, who then became a Mr. Olympia later. 5, Dexter Jackson, who also was a Mr. Olympia already. 6, Jay Cutler was a Mr. Olympia already. 7, Roddy Winkler. 8, that's Big Ramy, who became Mr. Olympia later. 9, Brent Warren, which 2009 he was 2nd place. 10, Lionel Bayeki, which if Lionel of that year would be in 1993, it would be in the top 5, I think. Because back then, glues didn't matter, right?
Yeah, and I mean, listen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're bringing the valid point, and I'm going to say 2013, I didn't watch the Olympia. I was in Europe. So only thing that I can go by was pictures and videos. And I'm going to tell you this also, because maybe you witnessed that. Sometimes you at the show, you watch on the stage, and then later you watch the video and it's completely different. It's like, what the hell, you know? But to bring that valid point, Phil, Kai, Dennis, Sean, top four, I know they're all in incredible condition and bigger. And on that note, could they beat 93 top four? Yeah, possibly. Yeah, possibly. Even I wouldn't say they out conditioned 93, you know, because as you said, even Flex, you know, 93 was in good condition. Dorian
smaller
was
though.
But smaller,
Smaller, yeah.
Yeah, so on that note, these guys in 2013 would beat 93 guys, but again, not on conditioning, because conditioning was very comparable. That year, you say, okay, fifth was Kevin Levrone. That was the year when he had a pec tear and he couldn't really prepare, but he had to do it for a contract with Joe Weider. Yeah, so there was, but in general, that year that you just mentioned, now all those guys are phenomenal. Let's give the credit where credit is due. Phil hit most of his Olympias. I mean, he looked fucking crazy. Conditioning was spot on. Kai Green, spot on. Sean Roden, he had a couple of, you know, Olympias that he wasn't really, you know, 100%, but it's always good condition. So, you know, I'm not trying to put the guys down. I think just in general, because percentage of the people you see on the stage, you know, there is so much more. Oh, he didn't make it off. He missed it, you know, stuff like that. Well, in 90s, that wasn't the case. Like pretty much everybody that is stepping on the stage, you expect them to be in condition. It was rarely, oh, what did you do? You know, guy is off, you know, in that sense. But to make it clear, 2013 Olympia, you know,
was
top 10
would the 90s. We got one win against the 90s.
I'm sure you have many more. You know, listen, I'm sure you have more.
I think what you're saying is that the guys now are way bigger, so they're better in that sense, but they do miss the mark more often. I do see
it. What do you attribute that to?
Yes, it's carb up. They fuck up the carb up. They fuck up. What do they fuck up?
Okay, let's face it. And I mentioned this publicly and many times that they ridicule me afterwards. I was the first one to screw up with a Synthol. Okay, and this is one of those stories. If you guys do want to hear it, listen, 1997. If you remember, Flex Wheeler was having a hype of he's gonna beat Dorian going into the show, and then he didn't compete. Okay, because he had some accident, he had a speech and all that stuff. But for whatever reason, okay, Dorian's business partner, Kerry Case, came to me and said, Milos, I'm looking for Flex. I need to give him something, and he's already gone. So I said, what do you need to give him? And he had a box of 12 100 ml ampoules or something. He said, okay, I'll give it to him. So what is it? It's a Synthol. What the hell is Synthol, right? And then he explained me, you know, that you know, certain guys are using it, and this volumizes, you know, the muscle. And I said, oh, you know, that sounds great. You know, can I have some? Okay. And then of course I used. It's the biggest regret of my life, because really you ruined my physique, you know, ruined my arms, and it created all kinds of mess. And I went publicly and speak about it. And even when I speak about it, I would have some athletes, when I, you know, accept them and, you know, to prepare them, and they always have to confess everything they're doing, what they were doing, you know, majority, you know, had some, you know, usage before, or some people would, you know, use it now or whatever, and with them don't, but they do it to volumize it. Now, when you volumize it, you know, tell people what they want to hear it. Oh yeah, that binds to your fiber and bullshit. You know, okay, you're injecting something that you don't even know what is the substance to volumize it, okay? You're losing the quality guarantee. You are changing the anatomic shape of the muscle. You're making it look abnormal. Like if you look at my arms, they look stupid in 1999 after I did this. And the way I'm guilty, I'm going to say exactly. So I try to have a little bit more peak on the bicep. okay. But then peak was so crazy when I did the, 99 Canada, even Bob Kennedy, backstage, he says, Milos, what are you doing? You have beautiful physique, you're ruining it. He said, like, look at that peak. It doesn't look normal. So I said, shit, he's right. Let me now, bring it down. So I'm going to do a little bit more lower. So I'm going to even up. Oh my God. And then it looked like a goddamn brick. It looks stupid.
Yeah.
And I see my fault, is spreading. And I see a lot of guys that look like this lumpy is, it doesn't look like a real muscle. But overall, this is the one thing why it destroys the conditioning.
Yeah.
What do you think about the newer options of that?
Yeah, because
Mediphorm.
yes, because I heard
Mediphorm.
Yeah, because I heard about the Synthol there. You could use that tool to reshape the muscle. Like you could add more peak to a bicep, which is why shit gets weird, I think. But the Mediphorm thing, and I heard a lot of guys in Kuwait, I'm not going to say names, but a lot of guys in Kuwait would buy hundreds of bottles at a time. And what that does is that it disperses the muscle and it will make the muscle belly grow. It keeps its shape, but volumize more. And it's just uroluric acid or something. It's filler. Yeah. So it's filler. So like, who knows what that does, but okay. So what do you think about that?
Okay. So let's be honest. Let's be straight and not be stupid. And so even the way you said it, okay, you are sold on the idea it's spreads and volumizes, it's natural. Is it so much hyaluronic acid inside the muscle fiber, muscle tissue? No, it's a goddamn fucking filler that you're gonna fill your face and look like a
like
fucking Hollywood. Exactly. Give me the fish kiss. Are we true to ourselves? We are bodybuilders and we want to earn muscle the hard way and have that conditioned, hard, dense, muscle, or we just want to volumize it. And I understand if you say, oh, these guys from Kuwait or something, if they're using it, I am strictly against it. Yeah, if you get the volume and doesn't look exactly natural, because let me tell you, I have a few guys they're using that one. I had just pictures the other day. I had to tell the guy right now, stop it, because now it's looking so. It's only hyaluronic acid. Stop it, okay? But you can't control everybody, right? You still, you want to do something, you do it. Okay, it's your own. My advice publicly for anyone, and if I have any of the athletes, they're listening to this podcast. Oh, I heard you say that, and you're telling me no. I never told a single guy to use any of those ever. I'm strictly against it, and I would tell you, what are you gonna gain if you get a little bit, more volume and completely lose the conditioning? So what do we respect when you judge the contest? Crazy conditioning with the separations, striations, tie-ins, this fucking muscle that you see, it's earned, it's defined. You're not gonna get it if you inject some shit. It's enough that you're injecting your steroids, into the muscle. And on that note, some top pros, they inject anabolic steroids. What are you gonna inject them? Usually shoulders, glutes, maybe lats, and then some, doing legs and arms.
I was talking to Antoine about that. About we were discussing the Olympia last year, and I was mentioning, I won't say who, obviously, but he was a top 10 guy, and he was hitting front doubles, and his lat looked like it was like bulbous. Do you know what I mean? Like it wasn't a lat. It was like, it had a sheen to it, almost like the skin was swollen, and it was like the way your cheeks would look if you got filler. It doesn't look natural, right? So this guy's got these massive basketball lats hanging, but it's almost like you can see where the injections have been going in.
Yeah, it didn't look right.
Yeah. But all of us, like, okay, Antoine, right? You have to take your shots. Where are you going to shot them, right? It's one thing that you have to do it. Now, what I've seen also, if people are using those short needles and stuff like that, they blunt the separation. It has to be intermuscular. You have to go deep, 1.5 inches and stuff like that. But this is something that you have to do. But now you're going to choose to do also these fillers. I mean, really, shortcuts. You're looking at the guy that was looking for a shortcuts, and I cut my career short because I made my arms look stupid. And I don't know, I think when we were there, I let you touch my arms in Vegas, and you see how much fibrotic, necrotic tissue. It's damaged, forever damaged.
So let's just end with one more question that Mike will ask you. It's actually...
No, I've always been a fan of your protocols when it comes to like insulin and training and things like that. I just wondered, like, I know you've spoken at length about that like numerous times, so I don't want you to go over that again. And there's so many misconstrued messages on the internet, like of all these people saying, oh, Milos recommends this, Milos recommends this. It's like, you know what you've done and you know what you're good at, and the people who follow you understand what you do. But is there anything like that you've been working on lately, or maybe stuff you've been trying and you've noticing, oh, I'm really getting good results with this, or I've changed the way I do this, or is everything just kind of stuck to the status quo?
No, again, is okay, as far as the whole insulin protocol and everything else that everybody judged me. And then I had a few debates with the Dave Palumbo and RX Muscle and stuff like that. Okay, many of the guys that even they were with me, and then they go with somebody else, and then they come back to me and say like, oh yeah, they like to use this long-acting Lantus instead, right? And I said like, okay, for everyone just to think, insulin, regardless which one you take, fast, intermediate, slow-acting, doesn't matter. It's anabolic hormone that stores everything, amino acids, glucose, ATP, triglycerides, everything. Yeah. And it's, by definition, not selective. It's going to store everything. Yep. Now, if you have more of it and you're exposed for a longer period of time, so a longer period of time, everything can be disposed into tissues. Do we want insulin to be released all day long? No, because if you have some fats getting there and it's not going to go to the muscle tissue, you can send it into the fat depot. So
especially with the guys nowadays, because they eat like crap.
Yeah, that's for me.
Yeah,
like why would it? If I right now, okay, it's not insulin, but I just inject you with something. There's going to be 24 hours there. It's going to be storing whatever you take, including fat. Would you take it? So I want insulin when it can be my best friend, not my worst enemy. My best friend when it can push everything just to one place only, into the muscle. Before training, right after training, you are going to stimulate muscle contraction, is going to open up the cells, and you're just going to put everything in. The only place that blood is going to be going is into that muscle. So blood is saturated. You make muscle contractions that cause uptake to that tissue. It's going to be sent right there. Mm-hmm. And immediately after training, it takes hours to replenish the glycogen and settle your workout physiology. But Lantus, somebody pointed out, but you posted back in 97 when you carb load for Canada Night of the Champions, you did N and R, Humalog N, Humalog R. I say, yes. Well, let me now tell you. When I'm carb loading for the show, what is my goal? I want all day my depleted muscle to be loaded. So at that time, I want long acting and short acting, and I was having a no fat. I was just having a shitload of carbs, 1,300 grams of carbs, I guess, a day, which I posted, and it's all there. At that time, that long acting would make sense because I want this all day long. So now I'm carb loading. I want saturation of glycogen. But normally, the guys they're taking, and listen, these guys were my athletes and never had an issue or anything. And then they went with somebody else, and now 3-4 years later, they come back to me and say, "Oh, Milos, I guess you were right." I said, "What?" Look at my stomach. I said, "Okay." I mean, but I was doing Lantus, but this guy told me, and it's a new trend. Okay, and then we have I'm sure you see it, the James Hornstead from England say, "Don't use it," And I said, like, yeah, if you use it, it has to make rationale. Okay, why you use it? Do I need necessarily insulin? No, but if I'm true to myself right now, okay, your training that we did in that ATI gym in Vegas after your training. So if you would ask me what would be maximized, I did it just with the supplements, or with all those supplements that you had, your EAAs, you know, the carbs, creatine, glutamine, beta-alanine, citrulline, whatever you had in that one, or, you know, if you had a injection of the insulin, for sure it would be more if you know, injected with insulin. It would be more transported. You know, supraphysiological amount of strongest anabolic hormone would do more than your endogenous would. So this is, as far as protocols, that I'm not fighting the guys. I'm just trying to. This is my sense, and I hope it makes sense to you. Mm-hmm. But all this long-acting Lantus, right? You tell me, how can you control it? How can you say now, please work and send it there, but now don't work and don't send it there? Yeah. You know, that's the whole idea.
Yeah. But do you believe that, just one thing more, would you believe that if you eat super high carbs and a lot of sugars are on a workout, that your blood sugar levels go high, is that unhealthier than if you would do the same thing but use insulin to bring it down? Because high blood sugar levels are very unhealthy. So so would taking insulin help your body process things better and be more healthy in a way?
1,000,000%. Listen, it is a danger to overload the pancreas with so much simple carbs, so quick, so frequently, every time you train. And if you take these carbs, right, your pancreas have to release so much to you know, bring it down. Day in, day out, week, month, year later, you're going to burn your pancreas. And a lot of doctors that I talked to, even back in the 90s, they agree with me. You protect yourself by, okay, if you inject insulin, right, it's already in the bloodstream, okay, Humalog has an onset in 15 minutes, starts working, peak in 45 minutes, okay, and strong, you know, action 2 hours, and its duration 3 to 4 hours. Okay, this is when you're under the influence. Okay, but when you're under the influence, that exogenous insulin does the job for you. So if it's already there and now you're drinking a glucose, you know, it's shoving it. You know, so your blood sugar never really goes up to initiate your pancreas. Oh, now I need to produce more insulin, because it's that negative feedback. It's already there. It's doing the job. Blood glucose is not going through the roof. It doesn't need to release it. So on that particular note, yes, you are saving yourself and pancreas by using it. Yeah. Of course, a lot of people are going to say, oh, Milos, you're talking nonsense. This is that. Are you a doctor? Let me see your medical, you know, diploma. I don't have it. I'm not. I'm a bro science. Yeah, with 40 years of experience.
A bro mad scientist. But yeah, I think you're a very good spokesperson for insulin. Humalog should sponsor you. So if Humalog, you guys are listening, give this guy a contract.
Lily, give him a call.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I never thought about it. How much Humalog did I?
Yeah, that people are bought because of you. But so I think we're going to end this for the podcast. So Milos, that was awesome. And it's always great talking to you. And I hope that next time I'm in Vegas, because now you're living there, I'll be able to get another training with you, and maybe Mike could be there with us too.
Yeah, listen, by all means. I mean,
yes.
Now there's the Flex Lewis's gym, as you've seen. Hidetada is opening probably in a couple of months from now.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a lot of places to work.
That's cool.
So let me ask you, Antoine, for you, what's your plan for this year?
Well, Dorian said I fucked around too much. I didn't get enough muscle, so now I gotta pack on some muscles. So I have a few weeks into it, and I'm getting a little bit of muscles. I was 305 this morning, and I'm just trying to be, I think, between that and 310, and just get really hard, because I don't want to get fat, because you just said that we shouldn't get fat in the off season. So I'm trying not to do that. But I want to do a tempo at first, but it's too soon. So I want to do a show this year that, you know, the ones after the cutoff that qualifies for next year's Olympia. Maybe one of the later ones, like as far away from the lockdowns and COVID as possible. So maybe I'll do one of those. But for now, I'm just eating like lots of good food, caloric surplus, and try to gain muscle. And I'm training every day under the guidance of Big Mike over there. So yes. So anything.
Well, listen, I do want to tell you, of course. I like your physique. I like your enthusiasm. I love your personality, by all means. I love your presentation, your posing routine. I can see that you put like so much thought into this one. Again, now with the Mike and Dorian being there, the job of everybody that is surrounding you is to push you forward, not backwards. So if one day and then the next day and the next week you are slacking, right? They have to spank you, really. No, seriously, they have to put you right back on the track.
Trust me.
Because every single day is opportunity to improve. Okay, Mike is training you now. He knows to get the most stimulus out from each workout. Now, the rest of the job is, feeding it and resting it. You kind of jump in at me when I say, oh, twice a day? Like, oh, why would I? I would do probably 2-1, 2-1, 2-1. Why are you afraid of extra workouts?
Well, go try to convince Dorian and Mike. I mean, I'm just following their advice. So you should try to talk to Dorian for that. 2 in a day.
No.
Fuck, I don't know that I've done that before. It seems like it's a big order.
Okay, but okay. Here is that true moment. Okay, true moment. With all due respect to Dorian, to you, to Mike, right? You kind of had already the idea. No. One workout a day is enough. Really? Okay. So what's going to happen if you do 2?
I don't know. I'll be twice as tired.
Oh, so you're already tired
because since I train with this guy, I feel like I when it's a day off, I'm like, thank God it's a day off. I'm happy it's a day off.
Okay,
like,
so
no, but he's not. I don't think Milos is recommending like come in the morning and do back, come in the night do fucking legs. Do you know what I mean? Like it's like splitting up body parts.
Oh, like you do back and then you do biceps.
Biceps, it's like split them up. Or if it's chest and triceps, split them up.
Oh,
or
okay.
If it's shoulders and hamstrings, split it up. You know what I mean? Like
listen, especially with the HD supplementation, right?
Yes.
There's also based on the concept of hyperemia transport, putting it in. You have an anabolic phase every time you train. So train and post-workout, so about 6 hours later, it's all replenishing. So if you do at least 6 hours apart, 2 workouts, you are continuing the same, you're just doubling up. Yeah, the rest of the day, I don't know what you do in your life. I know that you have a full life and maybe that's why you are tired. But if you are truly pro bodybuilder with one goal in mind, I want to maximize everything. Check. Nutrition, supplementation, my stimulation, my rest, everything. Okay. And I'm just speaking to you. I love you as a person. And this is also, they want to touch the subject. There like a couple of guys, when I make some comments, they would think that I don't like them or I'm prick. Oh. Listen, I'm the biggest fan of the sport. I respect anybody that's competing. And I would help anybody with advice. But if it's a judgment call, if I just, look, if I would tell you, Antoine, that, okay, my guy, Max Charles, should beat you in this contest and that you won, right? Would you possibly like me saying that? Right? Oh, he's a dick.
No, but listen, the proof that you love the sport, it's like I beat your client, and then the next day or 2 days later, we trained together.
Yeah.
And I was actually scared that, this is going to make me bench like 5 plays to try to tear my pecs because he's pissed. But no, you were actually super nice. And and that's why we love you and all the group here. We love you, Milos, because you're a legend. You're super passionate about the sport. And that's some people sometimes they think like, oh my God, Milos is creating a scene again. But it's because you're passionate about the sport and you want things to be proper, and we love you the way you are also. And maybe if I would train twice a day, I wouldn't think about women as much. That'd be good for me. But we're gonna end this right now.
What I'm thinking.
Yeah, we're gonna end this right now, Milos. But anything you want to add? Are you promoting something? Do you have a website?
No, I'm the worst businessman on this planet Earth. I don't, I don't even have a website, as you know. I don't advertise anything. I do my online coaching and contest prep, right? And I figure whoever wants to find me, they can find me, right?
Yeah, Google Milos Sarcev.
Milos Sarcev.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
All right, thank you very much. Muscle Radio.
Talk to you forever. Thank you for inviting me, and see you soon, right?
Yes,
nice talking to you.
Nice to you.
Yeah.